and welcome back to my channel. Well, today I'm excited to be playing with my new kit called The Luck of the Irish. Now, this is a pub themed card kit, and what I mean by that is it's going to have somewhat like a Cheers theme going on. So you're going to see images of men drinking beer, drinking whiskey, brewery type images, which is perfect for St. Patrick's Day. I also love this kit because it's perfect for masculine cards, but it doesn't necessarily go towards the brown tones. It has some wonderful green tones. So let me share with you what's in the kit. Now the kit, as always, is going to come with ephemera pieces as well as cardstock design. And the reason for that is because you know that I love to do a good layered card. But it's also great because you can create passport cards. And that's what we're going to create today. We're going to create a passport card with this kit. And I think what I'm going to do from now on is when I do introduce a new kit, I'm going to also create a passport card, even though I don't call it a passport kit. And the reason for that is I've had so many people email me asking me to create more passport cards. And I've explained to them that you can create a passport card with any of my kits. So as you can see, this kit has some wonderful images. It has some authentic vintage labels that I've scanned in to work on the kit. And then it also has some pieces that I've created on my own. It has some tickets. It has some postcards. It has some signs. It is a well-packed kit. Now, of course, I wanted to create some little backgrounds for you. And I created these backgrounds as an ATC size. That way you And of course, even though I have sized these down to ATC card size, you can always pull them into a digital image creator and size them larger if you'd like. Now, the next page here also is some great pieces. It has some tickets. It has a little band with some realistic bolts and a map of Ireland. Now, this page here is a page that has 4 different backgrounds, and I've sized these down to fit perfectly on your A2 cards. And I did this so you don't have to necessarily print out or resize one digital image. You can have 4 digital backgrounds on one sheet. Now this extra page here is not part of the kit, but it is in the shop, and I went ahead and I printed it out because I might decide to add some paper dolls to my passport book, or my passport card I should say. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to go with the card, but I wanted to go ahead and have it cut out. All right, so with all of my passport cards, you're going to have to start out with a base. And I did it this way so you can choose any type of cardstock that you want. This is just regular cardstock that I would get at Michael's or Joann's or anything like that. And I'm going with green because I want it to be, of course, in theme with my St. Patrick's Day card. So when you get your base, you want to have it measured out to 7 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall. And this is going to be the base of your card. And you're going to score it at the 2 3/4 mark. So when you fold it over, it will fit perfectly into an A2 envelope. All right. And then you're going to need a second piece of paper that's going to measure 4.5 by 4 inches. And then you're going to score it on the left-hand side. And that's going to be where you're going to glue it onto your paper. And you're going to score that at a half an inch or 1/4 of an inch, depending on how much you want your card to go in. Now for the base of the card, you also need to do another score line here. And this is so you will have a shorter panel on the front. So as you can see, I did a score line to cut off this corner here. And essentially you're just scoring it down to about, about 1 3/4, I guess. And you want to go right to the line, and then you want to cut off that piece. And that way, when you put your card together, you have 3 different layers that will show when the card is closed. And that's essentially what creates your passport card base. All right, so once you have all your pieces scored and cut, what I like to do is I like to round my corners. So I'm just taking my corner chomper here, and I am rounding my corners. And I just think that this makes it overall for a nice clean look. Okay, so when I start to put my card together, typically what I'll do is I'll start with the back page because I want to add my pocket. So the piece of paper that I'm working with, is just a 1/4 of an inch shorter than your card. So what I would say is measure your card, and if it measures, should measure about 4 inches, I would say. You want your cardstock to be a 1/4 of an inch smaller than that, so you'll have a nice edge around your card. You can go smaller than that if you want. It really is up to you, but I like to have a border. And then what I'll do is I will figure out the rest of my paper as well as I'm doing here. I typically like to cut out all of my paper first. So remember, when you're covering your panels, once you get your first one cut out, then you can just have your measurements down. And then also I'm preparing my pocket. My pocket is going to be the width of my card stock here. And then it's going to measure about 2 inches tall. And to start out, I'm going to go ahead and get my glue, and I'm going to glue my pocket right onto my back panel. And then that way, when I go to adhere it, it will be all set. Now this design can vary. While I put the pocket on the back panel, you could easily put the pocket on the middle panel as well. I've done that before on some of my cards, but I tend to like the wider pocket so I can fit more ephemera. But use your imagination, be a little creative, and mix it up a little bit. And then to adhere my second page, like you saw here, I went ahead and I added some glue to the piece that I had scored, and now I'm attaching it to the card base. And once you have it attached, give it a minute to dry because remember, this is a card that's going to get opened and closed, and you want to make sure that it's nice and secure. Okay, so with the piece that has the pocket, I'm going to go ahead and round my corners, and I do this for every piece that I add to the card base. I just figure out where your rounded corners are. The part of the card on the left-hand side is not all rounded at the bottom, so you just want to make sure when you are adding your panels, you only round the part that has rounded corners on the base, if that makes sense. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere my back panel down. And then I'm going to also add this piece of ephemera, which is a vintage label, cigar label, and I've sized it perfectly to fit as a pocket design. And at this point, the card's going to come together fairly quickly. I mean, if you've already got your base together and you've pre-cut your paper, it's just a matter of rounding the corners and adhering your designer pieces onto your pages. And as you can see here on the left-hand side, I am adding that little Ireland map that fits perfect. And again, in the kit, I size these perfectly to fit passport cards because, again, that is my signature design. So I want to make sure that I can create passport cards easily out of all of my kits. Now, not to say you can't create other types of cards. These are digital images and they can be resized, but I want you to be able to start out with pre-sized images that will work perfectly for a passport card. They might need just a little bit of trimming, but for the most part, they're going to be sized perfectly for this design. For me, decorating the card is always the funnest part because you can choose different types of paper, different types of designs for every passport card. You can make so many different variations, and I think that's why I love this design because there's so many possibilities. You might be creating the same base, but certainly by mixing and matching your paper, you can make every card look unique. Additionally, on the front of the card, you can change that up as well. You can add labels, you can add little images, you can even add paper dolls if you want to. Like I said, the sky's the limit on the design of these types of cards because you can mix and match, and just size down the paper is really all you're doing. And as you can see, when it folds over, having the matching paper is perfect because you're going to be able to see all 3 layers when the card is closed. And that's really the idea, right? Is to be able to have it coordinate perfectly so it is cohesive when the card is opened or when it is closed. So once I have all of my paper onto the base of my card, it's time to add the final touches. And on the 2 layers, the second card and the third card, as you can see, part of the top portion is showing, and this is intentional, so that way you can put a little sticker, a little label, a sentiment. You can really go a lot of ways with this. Now for this card, I'm going to cut up this brewery card that you see in the background. But as you can see here, I'm kind of playing with my pocket, and that pocket is great for your ephemera pieces as well as a little gift card. All right, so this is where I'm going to go ahead and figure out exactly what I'm going to put for the label of the card. And I'm showing you here that it is sized perfectly, so you can put either stickers, you can put labels. There's lots of ways you can go with this. All right, so for that background piece, I'm just going to go ahead and pick parts of those letters on the sign to be able to use it kind of like a label on my card. I'm not going to necessarily use the whole thing, but I'm going to cut it down so that way I can fit a couple of pieces of that sign onto the tops of the pages. And you can mix and match it. Again, you know, you don't necessarily have to use the same words or the same letters that I'm using. You can choose any part of the sign to be the labels on top of your card. It really is a great sign, and there's lots of options. You can go with the New York Brewery on top. You can use that Albany Brewery in the middle. There's lots of ways you can go with this. And remember, even though you're cutting up this specific digital image, don't throw away the leftovers, because I was able to use some of the leftovers to create an additional card. So even though you're cutting it up, it still is a great background piece to be able to add to a layered card. And then once you have the pieces cut down, then it's just a matter of getting your glue or your adhesive and adding them to the top of the card. And then that way, when the card is closed, you can see both labels in the background. So that's it. I know that I've shared this design with you before, but it is one of those designs that you can just do over and over again, and each card is going to be different. It is one of my favorite designs, and that's why I share it so often with you on my channel. So I hope that you've enjoyed my new kit. There are lots of options in working with this kit. Like I said, it will create some wonderful St. Patrick's Day cards, but don't limit yourself to St. Patrick's Day cards. You can create some wonderful masculine cards, and it is a great kit for any celebratory occasion. All right, guys, so I'm going to have some photos at the end of the video where I share my finished passport card. So be sure to stick around to the end of the video. And don't forget, the kit is in the shop now. Also, before I leave, I want to remind you that I do have a subscription for my digital images, and I call it a Backstage Pass. This is a subscription type of membership where you can pay one annual fee, and it gives you access to all of my images, past as well as in the future, for a whole year. So every release that I have, and I have a minimum of 2 releases a month, every release you're going to have access to instantly at no additional cost. So be sure to check that out. And if you are not a little hesitant about being a subscriber for a year, check out the monthly membership. This will at least give you access to the new kits that are released every month, and it's a good way to get your feet wet. All right, everybody, I'm going to finish off this card here, and don't forget to leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of my new kit. And also, if you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And finally, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. All right, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll see you again next time.